And now it's time for the main event, the country whipping match of Jack Swagger and Michael Cole against Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. My first question is, what time of day did you watch this match, Way?
This match I watched last night. Probably at like, I don't know, I want to say 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You poor soul. Michael Cole comes out. He is in bubble wrap. And we get a recap of Michael Cole whipping the shit out of Jim Ross on Raw, and Lawler coming to his aid and then whipping Cole. Cole announces he was a journalist. I covered Waco. I was stationed in Yugoslavia, and I'm not afraid of two hicks, and compares Ross and Lawler to the people of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's get it out right now, okay? Like, I hate this story. I hate this, like, character. I hate, like, this, whatever, like, you want to attach to it. But I thought Cole did a great job in the role. And
he was a great heel. Like, you can't deny, like, again, if he was a heel manager, I really wouldn't have had much issue with this. Like, the idea of this guy talking shit week after week after week, and there's a big payoff where a babyface gets his hands on him, I think that would be great. That babyface would not be Jim Ross. You could have done this just with Lawler or others, but the guy was very good in this role, but it was like just a turn the channel level of dislike that this character acquired, because this was still the guy you had to listen to for hours each week on commentary as your lead play-by-play announcer.
Yeah, like, it was certainly novel for the time to have the play-by-play guy, the guy who's supposed to represent, the sort of like conscious of the audience and the morality of the audience and the outrage of the audience, being the person making you angry. And it ultimately didn't work, but they stuck with it for way too long.
Like, could you have imagined, as great of a heel presence as he was in character, like, could you have imagined the Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon character on play-by-play during the Attitude Era?
Not at all. And
it would have been brutal
for a good reason. Yeah. So this was an experiment that I think, like, they devoted way too much time and attention to, and it really hurt the product.
Jim Ross comes out with Jerry Lawler. His hand is all bandaged up because he broke part of the hand with the tooth of Michael Cole getting lodged, like, in his knuckle. Like, this was UFC 1. Yeah. Like, Jim Ross, if there's one thing this man has continually stated he hates, it's wrestling. He knows he's awful at wrestling, and yet they would put him in these situations for their enjoyment. And with a straight face, as Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler make their way to the ring, Booker T refers to them as, quote, two cagey veterans who know how to get the job done. Cagey veteran Jim Ross.
Might be the most wildest thing I've heard Booker T say, and that would be accounting for a lot.
Tough line to dispute any awards that he's been handed down. Ross starts whipping Jack Swagger from the apron. Everyone's just got a whip, or a strap, rather. WWE shelling out for multiple straps, something AEW is not invested in. And Cole is protected because of the bubble wrap, and thus does not sell the whipping. So Lawler punches him and tears off the bubble wrap. The man is now exposed to the strap, and Lawler is tied to the rope, and Jack Swagger misses a Swagger bomb, and Lawler goes after Cole, but gets chop blocked and is put in an ankle lock by Swagger. Ross comes and whips Swagger to break the ankle lock, and then Ross is tagged, and I swear to God, the most insane visual is watching Jim Ross whipping Jack Swagger, and Swagger having to wince at the lashings from Jim Ross. This is just brutal. I was like, could this get worse? Hold my beer, because then Jim Ross applies his own ankle lock as Swagger has to tag Michael Cole for help. Jack Swagger, it's not talked enough about, is just totally just taken over by the tide of this god-awful program, and he is, I mean, the guy was pretty much nowhere at this point either. Mm-hmm. He had the Money in the Bank win, had his less than memorable world title run a year ago. So, I mean, I
The
guess
story
no
was
harm, no
already
foul at this point.
Yeah, the story was already kind of written on him, and this probably offered like his last notable. Well, I guess you had We the People after this too, right? The man's been involved in some great gimmicks in his career.
So, folks, we have seen Jim Ross whip Jack Swagger, apply an ankle lock to Michael Cole. My notes read just awful between them. But then the man starts to do his road dog like shimmy. It's like, what in God's name am I watching here? Swagger stops an ankle lock and he takes a low blow and gets whipped. And it's Michael Cole who comes up from behind Jim Ross and rolls him up with a schoolboy in 7 minutes and 4 seconds as Josh Matthews proclaims that Michael Cole's undefeated streak continues. Just a dreadful waste of time. And somewhere out there, people spent like $50 on this pay-per-view. And this was 7 minutes and 4 seconds of your money going toward. I hated this.
Yeah. So like this, the talking point of this show is going to be John Cena announcing the death of Osama bin Laden. I feel like this is a very close second, like this is what this show will be mostly remembered for. I feel more so than the Christian Del Rio match. I thought this was so awful. And if you had any believability in this product left, it would have been completely whipped out of you from Jim Ross here. I bet Jim Ross hated this.
Oh, we have an excerpt we will get to.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Like it totally goes against what I envisioned his taste in wrestling to be. And it was just terrible, terrible in ring. So Michael Cole was a good performer here, but I just thought none of this should have existed.
This sucked. Really. It just so sucked. Like Jim Ross should never be wrestling. And to me, it was like this, all this stuff with Jim Ross, and it maybe was at its lowest form in 2011. It was never about like this was entertaining to the audience. Like this was so about one individual that had this guy under his thumb who was not going to say no to his boss and was just out there for the entertainment of one person. And we go to Under the Black Hat, Jim Ross's second autobiography. I had worked so hard to become a public figure because I wanted to scrub away the very feeling of being laughed at rather than admired. And now I found myself 10 years old again. I didn't know what was more painful, having an eye full of barbecue sauce or knowing that this angle with Cole, Jerry, Swagger, and me was going to continue as long as Vince wanted it to. But I had made a promise to my wife, so I was just rolling with it rather than letting it get to me. The following week, Jerry won a match that allowed him to pick the stipulation for a return match with Michael Cole. The King picked a tag match where he and I would quote-unquote wrestle Cole and Swagger. Did you ever have that nightmare where you are being chased by a rotten corpse, but you can't move any faster because you're stuck? Well, for me, that rotten corpse was this angle. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't outrun it. Hopefully we'll get his real thoughts on this. Vince, of course, was having a great old time. On another episode of Raw, to, quote, get heat on Cole, they made me kiss Cole's foot live on the air. The segment lost us a couple of 100,000 viewers. So not only did I think it was the shits, but the viewers at home did too. So naturally, Vince kept it going. Another week on TV, he inflicted a match between Cole and me on the poor folks at home. It was a classic encounter, during which Michael made fun of my weight, and I punched him so hard I split his lip and busted up my own hand, breaking my knuckle. I was sure that would end the nightmare. Nope. No. We were going to take this feud off regular TV and bring it all the way to a pay-per-view where I had to work with a splint on my hand because I'd broken one of my fingers on Cole's face and Michael was bruised up from taking my shitty, non-trained punches. I'm not sure where, but at some point in the conga line of awfulness, I gave myself a legitimate hernia and needed surgery. In the storyline, I was fired again and off TV anyway, so being laid up a week or two wasn't going to stall any plans the company had for me. I did, however, tune in to see the Capital Punishment pay-per-view, that would be in June, during which they ran an anti-bullying advertisement, literally the segment before WWE had a Barack Obama impersonator call me a fat bastard live on the air. Welcome to Jim Ross's Hell of 2011, folks.
Terrible. Really terrible. I guess I'm just curious, like what was the context behind what he promised Jan? And what was keeping him there? Like what could a talent of Jim Ross's stature not simply have said no?
His defense has always been, I am paid to do what the boss wants me to, and I am going to go. I'm going to do my job, and I'm not going to sell it, and I'm just going to go along with whatever it is they throw at me. And yes, there were fans at the time that were, and granted, it's easier said than done, but many people who thought like, this guy has enough stature, he could walk away. TNA wanted him. Yeah, but he continually like stayed with WWE all the way until his deal was up and then went to AEW. But that's not for another 8 years after this. But like, yeah, this was, you know, your voice of the product. And this was in 2011. It was just, I think it was like the lowest when it came to just the embarrassing of Jim Ross. That was just seemed to be the whole feature of this individual. And you know, you read his second book, like it's a really messed up relationship of Vince McMahon and Jim Ross, where there is ultimately an underlying respect that Jim Ross has for Vince McMahon, but one of which, like, it's just a guy that is very clearly bullied and would not take himself away from the scene. This is years after they do the Dr. Heine sketch, and like tons of examples of this. And it's ultimately, you know, just like that's the entertainment that Vince McMahon derived out of Jim Ross, was embarrassing this guy. It was very much like, you know, many of the stories you hear about like this bullying culture, and Jim Ross was sort of the prototype of, or the example of that culture.
How often was he doing commentary at this point?
Not a whole lot. He was, because Cole is still like, he's the lead guy, and Ross is only there like selectively. So it's, yeah, he's not, after he has the Bell's palsy attack in 2009, he's pretty much off until when Jerry Lawler has the cardiac arrest. Like, Ross is brought in for a period there, but he's never there like as a constant pretty much after that period. It's only certain spurts that he's being utilized on commentary. February on the Post Wrestling Cafe, we continue our review of Season 2 of WWE Unreal, including a big look at Seth Rollins' fake injury, which culminated in his appearance at SummerSlam. We're going to be looking back at Shinya Hashimoto with a special career retrospective on Rewind Away, plus a review of Extreme Rules 2011, as John Cena announces to the WWE audience that Osama bin Laden has been compromised to a permanent end. We'll also take a look at New Beginning in Osaka, TNA No Surrender, and new members can take advantage of a 7-day free trial. Go to postwrestlingcafe.com and jump on board in February.